Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of my sub 250 gram ParkJet build project. So I've been fairly busy since the first video and also fortunately so has the mail service, because I have received the initial bunch of goodies that I've ordered. Since then I've also ordered a couple more things which I'll talk about later in the video. So since the last video I have decided to build a second airplane, and right now I'm leaning towards this being my first airplane that I will fly, hopefully, as long as I do get below sub 250. So this is the Park Flyers International F-18 speed build profile ParkJet, as you can see there. Very low parts count. This is just a representation of the plans I printed out on 8.5 by 11. So I've been friends with the guys from Park Flyers International for many years. They're super good guys, and have always been very supportive of me and supportive of us when the North American MiG Consortium, or NAMC, was still around before we decided to shut down our website. You can actually, I'm not plugging all this stuff, but you can actually, if you want to, you can buy the plans for the NAMC MiG-35B and Su-37 from the Park Flyers International website. I'll have links to that below. These plans for the F-18 speed build are also free to download, and for a very small donation of I think it's about $7 US, you can make a donation and get 6 or 7 plans, including this F-18, but it's their whole speed build profile series. There's an F-22, F-35, F-15 in there, so yeah, I would strongly encourage you to check it out, and like I said, you can download this one for free. So my good friend BMO, the lead designer at Park Flyers International, was very helpful. He let me know what the wingspan was on the full size if this was built at 100%, so using that information I was able to downsize it. So I've downsized this current build is about 17 3/4 inches, or about 450 millimeters. So bigger than the original MiG-29 that I built. I was originally going to build the RC Powers F-18 version 1, but it just turned out to be was becoming a bit more complex build for a profile airplane than perhaps I was looking for. So anyway, here we are with the Park Flyers International F-18. So the dry weight of this build as it sits right now, I haven't put any control horns on. I do have a 3mm carbon tube for a wing spar. I did make one slight modification because everything sort of gets loaded in from the bottom. I just made, this would normally be a solid piece, so what I did was I just hinged it with some tape and with a little magnet. So it's a little trap door, so hopefully, you know, it'd be easier for me to get my big sausage fingers in there when I'm putting the battery in and taking the battery out in between flights. So we'll see how that works out. I decided to go with elevons and ailerons. So those are hinged up. I'm just waiting to put the control horns on, and I'm actually thinking of making the control horns out of an old plastic gift card. I've already made, this is going to end up being my motor mount. I still just have to drill the holes to put the bolts in to attach it, and then you know, this is if you're from Canada, you're very familiar with Tim Hortons, so I may cut my control horns out of this. It's you know, quite strong for what I need for a light airplane, but also very light. So my dry weight as it sits right now is 52 grams. I also cut out the KF2 for the top are provided with the plans. So I cut those out, and then I also made myself some KF4 to go on the bottom. So with just this dry foam like that, the weight increases to 59 grams. So when I glue them on, that's obviously going to add some weight. But then what I do with my my KF4 airfoils is, I'll just show you on this MiG-35. Hopefully you can see here, I sort of shave and then sand down the leading edge. So I'm hoping that that will sort of maybe balance out and compensate for the glue required to glue those on. That thing to go flying around. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. I think the KF4s will just help add a little bit more stability, especially in, you know, if there's any little bit of wind blowing around for a very light airplane, and also provide a little bit of extra stiffness to the wing. The other nice thing is, even downsized the way that I did, I can still comfortably swing a 5-inch prop in this prop slot. So I've decided to go with a 5-inch prop for this airplane, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more. All right, so for the components that I ordered, which I talked about in the first video, and I will have links to these down below as well. I have received the motor, the Racer Star BR1407 3500 kV. So I've already soldered on some 2mm bullet connectors to hook up to my speed controller, obviously. This prop is a 50/40 or 5x4. It's kind of a no-name prop that I ordered from Banggood literally years ago. I just had it laying around in my cabinet. This exact type of prop I've tested in 6x4 before with my other ParkJets, and it worked out really well. Inexpensive prop. I also have some other 5-inch props that I dug out of my 2-blade props. These ones are a 54 dull prop, 50/45 bullnose, and they're actually what I consider a bullnose. It's like, hopefully you can see there, it's like a completely squared off tip. Also some dull prop, what they're calling 50/45 bullnose, but more of a tapered tip, and you can hopefully see these are, you know, they're a pretty beefy prop, pretty wide blade, and also they have more pitch with a 4.5 pitch. And then these are a Gem Fan 50/45. These actually might feel a little bit stiffer, although they look exactly the same as those dull prop ones. And they are calling them a bullnose as well. I don't know, maybe they're same company, different packaging. So we'll see if we need to get a little bit more extra juice if this motor can swing those. We might experiment with those as well. So if I did, I think I forgot. So this with the prop attached, and also the hardware, these 4 little bolts that will be used to mount it to the motor mount. The total weight there ends up being about 26 grams with the connectors, the prop, that sort of thing. I think Banggood said it weighed 17 grams, which I think out of the package it was about that, with no hardware, no prop. So we've gained a little bit of weight there, but I'm still not too worried about it. Okay, the batteries that I initially ordered, these are the China Hobby Line Mini Star 550 milliamp 3S 70C. Now they came with JST or XT30 connectors, and I ordered some from Banggood, but they have just little pins there for soldering, and I'm the first to admit I'm absolutely horrible with a soldering iron. So what I found in my buried again in my whole supply cabinet was a whole bunch of JST connectors, male and female, with the wires on them. So what I chose to do was I just snipped off the XT30 and I soldered on a JST connector to these batteries. So hopefully that's going to be able to work out with you know, the amp draw. I'm not thinking I'm going to be drawing a whole lot on 3S. I'm not going to be drawing a whole lot more, hopefully, than, you know, maybe 10, 11 amps maximum, depending on the prop that I use. So the weight of this battery is, with everything, including the Velcro, is now at 54 grams. So I can't remember, I should have written down the numbers, but so we did gain about, I think, about 5 grams or more weight on this battery, but again, nothing too significant. The ESC, it's a Hobbywing Funfly version 5 20 amp with a built-in BEC. So again, I soldered on a JST connector on that, This comes in at 14 grams, so really, really light. It already had the 2mm bullet connectors connected on, which is why I bought some 2mm bullet connectors to attach the motor. It has an interesting setup here. You know, you have your normal 3-wire connector to go into your receiver, and then a single wire which powers the back. So you just, you know, one of the channels that you're not using on your receiver, you can plug that in. I've already plugged it in and it works just fine. The other nice thing is it comes with, I think the manual might weigh more than the speed controller, but anyway, it comes with a very thorough and detailed, easy to understand manual. You know, I don't get any free stuff from Hobbywing, but I've been a big fan of Hobbywing speed controllers since I went to the Platinum Pro 40 amp speed controller that I use in the bulk of my ParkJets, which unfortunately I don't think they make anymore. Again, it had very detailed manual. So that comes in at 14 grams, so really nice and light. So we'll see how that works out. So yeah, so the motor with the prop and the hardware 26 grams, battery 54 grams, and ESC with comes in at 14 grams with the connectors. So we'll see how that goes. With 4 5-gram servos from RC Timer with the hardware, the little push rod connectors, that's going to add up to about 28 grams. And we'll talk a little bit more about what I think my final weight is going to be. So I did order another motor from Banggood. It's the Racer Star 1806 2280. So a bigger bigger, you know, 4 millimeters bigger than this little unit. Lower kV, but I'm hoping that it will have maybe a little bit more torque if I find I need a little bit more torque to help fight through the wind or whatever. Excuse me. A little bit of rocket fuel there. Banggood says it weighs about 20 grams, so a little bit heavier as you would expect than that motor. So we'll see how we end up once we put the connectors on. I just printed off the chart. So on the 2280 with 3S, swinging a 50-30 prop, so I'm going to be swinging a 50-40, up maybe a 50-45. The amp draw was 8.3 amps, 390 grams, 92 watts. They actually tested it on a 6x4 prop, which I won't be able to swing in this airplane. Drew 11.5 amps, 468 grams of thrust, 128 watts. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see how we make out with the props that I plan on using, and those numbers are all on 3S. So yeah, I ordered one of those, and then I just happened to be poking around on the RC Timer website, which is one of my favorite websites. I've always had good luck with RC Timer. And they had it's a motor. It's actually on sale for about, I think, $10 US. It's this is probably going to end up being a bit of a speed motor, so I might I am actually on a waiting list for Rotor Village for a 750 milliamp 3S battery. You know, a little bit bigger tank. Which, if I decide to, you know, I mean, if you followed my channel for a little while, you know that I do like to get out there and light my hair on fire with a fast ParkJet. So this might end up being a speed for kind of a stripped down speed airplane. But anyway, it's the B Rotor 1806 2900 kV Zoe FPV brushless racing motor. On their website, it weighs 22 grams. And again, I'll have links to all of these things down below. Not a lot of info other than that, i.e. props, amp draw, that sort of stuff. But that's kind of normal from RC Timer. I have used B Rotor Zoe FPV motors in the past. In my other size ParkJets, they've worked really well, very durable, and nice peppy motors. So we'll see how that goes. So as I mentioned, I am leaning towards this being the first sub 250 gram ParkJet that I fly if I end up getting there. I'm thinking just kind of ballparking by the time I add in control rods, push rods, push rods, servos, control horns, etc. I'm hoping that I'm going to be in the ballpark of around 200 grams. So still hopefully comfortably under that, essentially what has to be 249 to be under 250 grams. So as long as I'm okay with the current rules, I'm interested to see how that works out. While I was just tinkering around, I also just kind of built this own little work stand. Because everything has to go in underneath on this airplane rather than on top like most of my ParkJets. I built this thing just out of Adams Ready poured Dollar Tree foam and a whole whack of hot glue. So I cut little slots in, as you can see, so I can just slide the plane in like that. So when I'm here working on it at home, or when I have it out at the field, that way I don't have to sit it down on top of its tails. So hopefully that's going to work out okay. And it took me maybe 15 minutes to cut out the foam and put this thing together, so that, you know, I'll hopefully make it easier to work on both here on the bench and out at the field. So anyway, yeah. So there we go, folks. That's a big update, part 2. The weather right now is forecast for probably at least the next week to be pretty bad. As well, I have some things coming up in my life there. So I'm not 100% sure, depending on weather and everything. It might be sort of mid-May even before I get out flying. So I may actually wait and not install this motor, or I'll do a little bit of bench testing. I may go with the 1806 2280 kV, but we'll wait and see how things go. So anyway, I will have as many links as I can remember in the show notes down below, especially to get plans for this F-18 speed build from Park Flyers International if you're interested. If you have any questions, comments, please, I encourage you to leave them down below. Thank you as always for your amazing support to me and to my channel. It's very, very much appreciated. And I hope in the next little while I'll be updating you with part 3 as we draw closer to getting ready to take one out to the field and do some turning and burning. So thanks as always. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. ParkJet noise, the other sound of freedom, baby. Take care.